Your net worth is a direct correlation of your net worth. Yes, we are tired of hearing that saying, but let me tell you something that it's true. It doesn't matter which tax bracket that you're actually in. The reason that these big dogs say that all the time is because they've lived the same experience, and it's a shorter way to explain how it really works. But if you're interested in knowing how to build relationships the right way and how it can eventually put money in your pocket, then you've came across the right video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Section number 1, stop networking transactionally. And here's what I mean. You can almost feel when someone needs something from you at the time when they reach out, or you get a random email, or you get a random phone call. You can just tell that it feels like it's going to be a transaction. And that is what you shouldn't do, because people can sniff it immediately. As y'all know, one of my favorite influencers, Sharon Shrivastava, he came up with this 10-10 forever rule principle, basically saying that 10 relationships that he's built for 10 years plus have built 95% of his net worth. And I've paired that principle with 10 relationships in my life that we aligned on core values, we aligned on the same interests, and then there's a future opportunity for us to work together. And I encourage you to do the same thing. A lot of people out here, when they go to networking events, they confuse relationship building with networking. It's not the same thing. Like, networking is when you meet someone, you're gauging the connection, you're gauging the engagement from the other person, and you're finding out if you want a relationship with this person. Relationship building is the next layer. That's when you said, okay, I can find myself grabbing a lunch with this person, I could find myself grabbing a coffee with this person, or grabbing dinner, etc. And it works in the personal setting and the professional setting. And what also separates relationship building is the trust element. Like, both parties believe that they can start building and establishing trust between one another. And look, when you're trying to build relationships, don't try to impress, don't try to sound smart, just actually get to know that person and listen to them. Listen what they have to say, listen what they're interested in. And if it's somebody that's active on the internet, or someone that you could easily pull up ChatGPT and search their name and do some research on them, try to find a little bit about their story that you can find genuine engagement interest with them. And when you get to a point to where the conversation is developed, I would say do 80% listening and 20% talking. Let them talk, let them engage, and if they ask you a question back, then that's when you talk. Especially if they are maybe older than you, or they may be in a position you want to be in, or they may just have a higher net worth than you. That's when you should do 80% listening and then 20% talking. And when this happens, people don't remember who talked the most. They remember the people that made them feel valued. And the way to make them feel valued is to leaning into that 80% of listening what they're saying and making sure that it's a genuine conversation. Section number 2, proximity changes your thinking. When you think of proximity, you think about being in the same environment or being in the same room with someone that you would love to switch places with in life. That actually reminded me of a concept from Alex Hormozi, who is actually a partner of Sharon Shrivastava at acquisition.com. Alex came up with this concept called network arbitrage. It basically means that you're operating in an environment which you wouldn't necessarily have access to unless you intentionally got there. And what I mean is that could be living in a neighborhood in which you can't afford, which I don't recommend, by the way, or buying like a $5,000 VIP ticket to go to a conference where you're meeting other people that spent $5,000 or more on that ticket just to be in the same room. But I will say, if you do choose that second option that I just mentioned, make sure that you go into it strategically. Like, don't go there wasting time. Basically, like, number 1, who do you hope to meet and what industry are they in? Basically, like, you have to do research and find out who's going to be there. And number 2, how many people do you hope to meet and exchange contact information? Once you do that, then it feels more like an investment versus just taking a gamble and a risk and going to that conference. And going back to that housing example that I said, just say that you live in an apartment, and say that that apartment is near the downtown area in your city, then you're naturally going to be around people that are in that same neighborhood that you can network with. They may have great jobs that you may want to break into. They may be having educations, they may be entrepreneurs, and that'll be a good opportunity for you to connect with them genuinely. And then you can apply those same steps that I just mentioned with you before. But it's even better if you connect with them on a personal level and y'all enjoy doing things for fun. Then a relationship feels more organic versus transactional. But here's a big contradiction: that people think that they need a big time status in order to start networking, but you don't. Just show willingness to do something, show that you're dedicated in accomplishing a goal, and just being yourself and being a genuine, nice person. A lot of people do believe that you have to be a natural extrovert in order to network, but you really don't. Networking is a skill. I tell people this all the time, that networking is a skill and you have to intentionally do it. That's why all my mentors that I meet as a part of my 10-10 forever rule, it's just like with my strong 10 relationships, even though it may just be a professional network, it may be mentors, or it may just be people that I'm close with that's a part of my group, or maybe outside that group. They all say the same thing, that you have to intentionally keep relationships strong and intentionally exchange value. And lastly, section number 3, become somebody that people want to stay connected with. I know this sounds simple, but people make it harder than it should be. They try to front like they're doing something extremely big in which they're not at that moment, or they try to be someone else. And both of those extremes, like, people can sniff it out, especially very high net worth individuals. They can sniff that stuff out. And over time, meaningful relationships are built off value. One way that you can tell if somebody doesn't want to talk to you is they try to keep it very transactional. Like I mentioned earlier, like, they will try to say, oh, this person cannot bring me value at this point in time. And those are the people you want to stay away from. You want to build long-term, deep relationships with people that you trust and people that you want to get to know, versus short-term transactional relationships. And when I say value, value does not always mean money. There are relationships to where I exchange value with people, and it's not always monetary. It could be an introduction, that they introduce me to someone that could literally change my life, or it could be like a volunteer opportunity that opens me up to a bigger network. It could also just be a conversation. Like, information is good. There's a ton of information on the internet, and sometimes it's harder to put the pieces together, even if you do use ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or whatever AI machine large language model that you use. Sometimes it's better to have someone with a lot of experience that can help tie everything together so that you're not scrambling. And let's say that you're in a mentor-mentee relationship. Then what you should do is you should focus on how you can help that person versus what you can get. Because when you start to ask how I can help versus what can I have, that builds goodwill for the long term. And then that is what builds strong, deep relationships. And I'm not saying just do these things because you want something eventually. Just do them because you want to, and you want to grow that connection deeply. And when you consistently do that and continue to build that skill over time, your name gets mentioned in rooms that you never expected. And your reputation starts to build quietly, especially if you're in your career or if you're in your business, because it doesn't matter what industry you're in, it's going to be a small world, and there's going to be somebody that's connected to one person. If you burn a bridge or build a bad reputation for yourself, that will come right back around and bite you in the butt. The strongest relationships are built when people know and feel that it's genuine. Trust me, I can sniff it out. I know you can sniff it out. And sometimes, like, your relationship could be over the internet. You could have a relationship with me, even though you're on one side of the camera and I'm on the other side of the camera, but we're building that relationship. And one day, maybe we can meet one day. Maybe when Money Talks Media begins to get bigger, I will be on stage or I'll be on a conference and maybe we can meet, but we could build that relationship over time, and you never know how far that can go. Because deep relationships can create business opportunities or career opportunities or even introductions to people that you never thought that you'd meet. But this is what you should do in order to keep relationships strong. So if you're new to this, I'm gonna give you 3 steps on how to build meaningful relationships. Number 1, audit your circle. Find out who's in your circle. Figure out if the relationship can be something long-term. Find out if you and the other person are receiving value, and then just check and see if you both are just genuinely connected. Do you share the same common interests? Do you have the same habits or hobbies? Do you share the same core values? Number two is stay consistent. Consistency is important. That means schedule reoccurring lunches or reoccurring dinners or reoccurring coffees or whatever it may be, just so you can stay connected. When it's on the calendar, it's harder to cancel. And then lastly, number three, and I've said this before, is exchange value. Find out how you can help this person get to the next level. Like I asked my mentor, I was like, hey, how can I help you? And he wants me to mentor his son. And I'm like, I'd love to, because me and his son share the same interest. He likes podcasting. Obviously, I like podcasting. He is into sports. I like some sports sometime, even though that may not be the biggest thing, but I can at least connect with him. And then lastly, like, he likes to go out and have a good time. And so those are the three things that me and him connect on. If you feel like you got a lot of value from this video, feel free to like, subscribe, let's stay locked in. And I'm so excited to hear about your journey. Drop a comment below, let me know your takeaway. And now I expect you to have at least 5 relationships by the end of this year. Strong relationships.